Hi, Mechaleaf here. Welcome to my second video. So I've got some scrap pieces of paper and card and just decided to make something out of it. I want to sort of challenge myself today to make something just using paper and card and sort of paper-based things. So I have some news. The cat tried to kill me. I ended up falling down the stairs right at the top, breaking a bone in my hand. A couple of days I had to go to A&E and a hand clinic, and then it's all plastered up, so I'll have to sort of rearrange my plans a bit and then try and still get some content out. It's not the end of the world, but obviously it's not great for hobbying, is it? Yeah. Just making the basic structure here. Just super gluing this. You could use like a little cardboard tube if you want, but I quite like the ramshackle look. Oh, look at those. Disgusting. They're really unhealthy. See all those ingredients? Oh well, let's just chop the box up. Some of the footage is a bit corrupted, but it does get better throughout. I think I filmed this in 4K originally and then sort of downscaled it, and I don't really know what I've done. So just sort of making a bit of a orky spiky bit to go on the front. So these bots are going to be part of my orc army as some Killakans. So they're going to just be a bit ramshackled. Just building up layers and sort of deciding what to build as I go along. Here's a bit of a homage to bill making stuff. Pepper. Oh, that's actually, yeah. Maybe don't tell Bill about that. That's a bit of an insult, I think. So let's just forget that ever happened. So here I'm rolling up some paper tubes, so you can sort of make the length and diameter however you want. Super glue in the end, make it longer and sort of stick together. Now I quite like this doing that, because a lot of the tubes are quite expensive if you buy them out of plastic card, and you can never tell if it's out of paper if you paint it and varnish it and everything. Sort of deciding what details to make here. Okay. I might leave that in. My cat. So just building up some more parts here. So you've got the tube, and then just adding a bit of detail, make it look like it sort of can slide around inside, might rotate, and it makes it look a bit more mechanical. So the more sort of extra layers you can add, a lot of the time it just makes it sort of sell the illusion that it's actually workable. Here we go, making another sort of thick tube this time. So this is going to be part of the gun arm. You could do like thousands of different designs really. I just wanted this one to look like it's sort of a part attached to the main body. Oh no, I'll cut him out. So I mean, it's not the best design. I can imagine that's going to create a massive racket inside, but you know what orcs are like. They sort of do things first and then think later. Unlike me, obviously, I plan everything. Just add in the other arm. I've got a circle cutter here, so this will make some nice circles. Yeah, it's quite handy, that is. So you go, adding a bit of extra layer to the top. So So this is part of why I like orcs, because you can just sort of change your design or add bits as you go along, and you know, sort of you end up with something you're quite happy with even at the start. You know, you ended up being a bit like, oh, I'm not sure if this is going to work out. And then at the end, you pretend that that was the plan all along. So just add in some small little strips here, so sort of build up this front bit. It's probably better to build, sort of make the parts first and then stick them on after. I think that would probably be a bit easier, but yeah, I don't really plan anything with my orcs, or plan as little as I can, so I just like to get stuck in. So here's a bit of the arm, so making it look a bit more sort of like it works. So if you scribe the paper like that, it makes it sort of curl a lot more. And then yeah, I wanted the gun arm to look a bit like a blunderbuss, so it sort of has exploded out, and then they've just added a load of extra bits of metal on. Just building up a little hopper on the top. So that would have probably been easier just to build and then stick on, but I didn't really know what size I wanted. There you go, stick that on and just trim the excess off. That shows my planning, it's just stick it on first, then cut it off after. That's a super glue. I found the super glue really handy. I mean, you could probably do this with PVA glue or, you know, any old glue, but it just takes a lot longer to dry. So if you want to do it quickly, then super glue is really handy, and then it sort of, you know, it's quite sturdy after it's been glued. Just add in a few extra layers of detail. I find with orcs, if you make it sort of tell a story that, you know, it's been built up over time, it might not necessarily look like they've sort of planned to make it that way, but you know, it turns out that that's how it looks like. With a few extra repairs and details, it makes it look really orky then. Go building a bit of understructure so it looks like more than one plate. You go, just adding a bit of glue around the edges so it sort of seals those edges. I know a lot of people use Mod Podge to sort of seal the edges or make it a bit stronger, but I found the super glue fine. So here we go, here's my planning. There you go, you needed to cut that. Here, adding the base to the hopper. One more thing. If you want to leave a like or a comment on anything, especially any sort of feedback on anything I can improve, because you know, I'm still learning a lot of things, so that would be really handy. If you want to click the Patreon link and just have a look at that, really appreciate that. Stick the feet on and just let him stand up, and then he won't wobble around anywhere. So adding a bit more detail here. So just making it look like these the arms can sort of rotate or move in some fashion. Just add in some more bulking it up. I think the more sort of layers you make in the armour, the better it looks. It looks more like, you know, they've sort of built it over time rather than it's just a box that's a bit boring. There we go, so again, add in some more bits. So this would all be easier if I just did it before I stuck it on. Where's the fun in that? And also, it will make a better video if you see me struggling, won't it? So I've even got the tweezers out on this. Make it a bit easier, although I did cut out all the bits where the things stuck to my tweezers, so I just thought, I mean, you know, I want to look professional, I want to look like that doesn't happen to me. here's another little punch. This one's really handy for just small like rivets or little details, like just cuts out little circles. It'd be good if there was all different sizes of that, but I haven't been able to find any online. This one you can sort of change the size of the rivet you want to cut out, so you've got a few different sizes. I do find a lot of the things get stuck inside, so you have to like poke them out. You know, it does work pretty well. So these are all little bits I've just cut or just salvaged. So as I'm sort of going, I'm just sticking some of these on. So they're little sort of knee bits that make it look like the knee can move up and down, or sort of move like a knee does. Does the knee go up and down? I suppose, I don't really know. Yeah, sort of hip bits. I quite like making it look like they've just added plates and armour, like as they've been going along, and you know, this vehicle could have been in a load of battles and it's been destroyed and then rebuilt, and parts of it's been used in another vehicle. Just sort of adds a bit of extra detail. Paper cotton buds that I've cut the ends off, just stuck them on. I remember watching a video from Eric the Hobby, and then he did the same. He used those. I was like, oh yeah, they're paper, so it sort of reminded me. Just add in a few extra armour plates and the exhaust stack here. I quite like adding exhaust, like, because these are little weedy Killakans, then it'll only have one exhaust. So it's sort of coming together now, so I'm sort of deciding what to build. So here's the claw arm. So just building up the layers. So on this one I wanted the claw to look a bit like its sort of internal mechanisms are opening and closing it. A few bit of spikes. Just sort of add in a lot of detail. Here's a big armour plate that I'm going to put on the shoulder. That's a good opportunity to put a bit of detail on. Building up some more layers. If you have like a big flat plate on an Orc vehicle, unless you put some kind of sort of glyph or design or something, it just looks a bit boring. And going back to the engine, I sort of work like this when I'm making a, you know, some of the ramshackle vehicles. I just sort of go around and add bits and, you know, sort of add more details to where I just think at the time. So I don't really stick with the arm and then, you know, finish the arm and then do the legs and finish the legs. I sort of go round and round building up parts. Hopefully it's not, you know, it's easy to watch, like it's not really that complicated, but if you feel like that it's a bit annoying, then try to build things in a more cohesive manner to watch. Yeah, I'm really new to like building things on camera, so a lot of the time it's quite tricky to get the angles right. Like, just means that I respect the builders on YouTube a lot more. So they make it look really easy, but I bet it isn't. I bet they've had to do loads of builds where they're like, oh no. Yellow goodness, and probably my best brush that I've got. There you go, just whack some wood filler in this. So the sort of bits that I just want to fill in, then just like, wood filler's fine. It sands really well. This wood filler's fine for this purpose. And I thought, like, you know, paper's made out of wood, so this counts. There you go, just sort of like filling in some of the gaps. Obviously, if I'd have made things a bit better, it wouldn't have all these gaps in it, and then you wouldn't have to fill them in. But yeah, I don't mind doing a bit of filling and sanding at the end. Get a big blob there, and then you can sort of whack it into where you want, and then just file off whatever bits you want left. Here's the file, so you just come back and you just got to make sure it's dry enough. If you file it when it's wet, it just sort of peels away or just ruins your file a bit, so you have to go and clean it. It doesn't take very long to dry, but you just want to make sure it is dry. So there you go, so just a bit of sun down. So I got a hole punch, so I got a set of these for pretty cheap. They're all different sizes, so they're really handy. Just to add a few extra details, got a few sort of recessed rivet details. These are good for, or you could sort of like use them to punch little holes out of things and then stick the rivet on. Yeah, just sort of a little rotate, gets through this paper and just leaves a nice little recessed rivet. If you get the twirly action all right, then you can just sort of like put a little bit of pressure, and then there you go. As long as you add enough detail, you can sort of make it look functional, make it look interesting. So there you go. Here's some little offcuts and bits, so instead of putting them in the bin, I thought I'd decide to just put them in the hopper and make it look like loads of bits of scrap metal. And I imagine that there's like an orc or a grot or something that just like throws a load in as the battle progresses. Here we go, here's some stippling of this yellow goop crusted. So it's just PVA glue and then some of that wood filler that's sort of watered down a bit with the glue, and here we go, I made some more. So these ones are made off camera and they're so much easier to make. I still want to be filming a lot of the stuff, so I'll try and do that a bit better. There's another one. So they've all got grotzukas, and then they've all got the claw arm. They're just going to be a little unit, or just some kind of like little bots that go around in the Gorkamorka campaign that I'm going to be playing. Just as sort of like a rogue sort of element into the game that they're just a bit randomised. Here's the paint job, so just painted it with a black primer at the moment. You could spray it, but I didn't have any black spray, so I mean you can still get a decent paint job by just painting primer on. It's fine. Especially with orcs, like, it probably matters if you want like a really smooth coat with like Space Marines or Eldar or anything like that, but with orcs you can have a little bit of a thicker paint job. It just looks more sort of industrialised then. So you're coming on with some silver or some metal. I'm not really sure what I used here, but yeah, there you go. There's the old citadel pot. Yeah, it's seen better days, hasn't it? So some of these are pretty old. So I put a bit of water, I think, in this one, and then just got a bit of a dry brush and add in a bit of detail. This one's a bit rusty, so I wasn't really sure how rusty I wanted them. So the other two, I don't think I added much rust at all actually, but this one I'm sort of just going over with a bit of a wash, sort of picking out a bit of detail. So I started with this blue colour, this grey colour. It's like a bit of a underbrush of, I can indicate just so the colour I pick next is going to stand out. So some white glyphs. Here we go. So I wanted the weapons to sort of have this like yellow sort of colour just to make them a bit more cohesive. I did think about doing some warning stripes, but I didn't really want to on these ones. So here's the turquoise colour, so I really like this colour. I think it looks really nice. So I quite like orcs having a bit of brightness like in the old days, so like the sort of second edition days when they're all really colourful. I still like the grittiness, so I sort of normally mix, you know, quite bright colours, but then have a bit of a sort of weathered look, or so there you go, that's what he looks like before. So there you go, there's the other two. That's just sort of in their metallics at the moment, but I painted these two in exactly the same way. You know, the old don't paint the edges technique that was invented by Paint on Plastics Lincoln, Scratch Passion, and Night Shift, and probably someone on the old forums, and you know, all these other people and me, we all invented it. There we go, so just wedge a load of this oil wash on. So hopefully this will come off later. I'm still sort of experimenting with oil washes. Like, a lot of people make them look really easy, but I always find that some of these sort of simple techniques are so simple that sort of go into much detail. So I find it depends on how long you leave the oil on, and what you know, sort of what oil you've used, how thick it is. So all these things matter, and you just have to sort of do a bit of experimenting yourself. If you use the same paints and everything, obviously you'll get like a really similar technique, but at the end, like an effect at the end. So I'm sort of having to rub quite hard on some of these bits because I left it on, I think, over a day, and but I really like the result at the end. I've used turpentine before, and that ended up sort of like making the underlayer, it sort of stripped some of it slightly, but I was painting something that was Nurgle, so that ended up looking alright. Here we go, so you know, you can sort of decide almost how much you want to take off of each panel. So on this one I wanted it to look, you know, a bit grimy, but not too much. Just more like it's sort of wet aged metal. I didn't want it to look like it was really bad. Here's some of these Villeho. I don't know how to pronounce that, so I apologise to anyone who knows who should be able to pronounce that properly. So did like a bright silver in the little viewport lens thing, and just a few extra details on some of these panels. Like, you know, you don't really have to use these metallics, but I find they're really bright, and they just leave a really nice effect. Just going into a bit more detail after that oil wash, making it look like more areas are sort of you know, wearing away at layers of paint, just brighten up some bits. My paint jobs are hardly ever finished. I always like come back to things years later and just sort of touch them up. Here we go, so got some pigment and some black soot sort of pigment, and then just wedging that into the areas where where it sort of makes sense, so like the engine and the weapon. And some of these bits, that vent or whatever it is, just making it look like a bit of a working engine, like some sort of soot and stuff's come out as it's been working. Here's the lens, so just adding some transparent green. I did a few layers of that. Here we go, here's the end. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed the video. And sort of came into the process that I made them with. Hope you consider leaving a like or a comment. You know, if I need to improve anything, then please let me know. And you know, maybe consider supporting me on Patreon. Still really early days, so you know, if you can just check out the page really. Like, I don't really expect anything, but any little bit helps. So just put that into getting some more stuff for the channel, and then it will hopefully speed up how good things look. Thanks for watching, bye.